Hey, Kevin Wright here, back with another property finance video. Now, we're going to talk about bridging again this week, but I'm going to give you a different angle on bridging. If you thought bridging was bridging, in other words, bridging is all the same, well, this week it's about five different types of bridging that all work in different ways. So maybe you thought bridging is bridging, it's all the same thing, it all works the same way. Well, I'm going to look at now 5 different types or 5 different ways that bridging can work. So we're going to look at purchase bridging, market value bridging, refurb bridging, done up value bridging, and cross-collateral bridging. So you thought there was one type of bridging? There's 5 types of bridging. But what's the difference? Let's drill down and have a more detailed look. So purchase bridging is just the standard run-of-the-mill bridging that every bridging lender is going to do. How's that based? Well, they lend on the lower of the purchase price or the value. Nothing unusual about that. In fact, it's what every mortgage lender does. Value is 200, purchase price is 170, purchase bridge lends on the lower of the two, so 200, 170, they'll lend on 170. Typically at 75%, although there are variants on that. Every bridger does that. It's fairly simple. They'll give you terms of usually up to 12 months, depending on what you want. So purchase bridge is the easiest to explain. Market value bridging. Okay, so this is structured differently and it's by no means universally available from most bridgers. A select few bridgers do market value bridging. What's different? Instead of lending on the lower of the purchase price or value, market value bridgers lend on the lower of the asking price or value. And the asking price or value can be much closer together. How does that benefit you? Well, the benefit is on the occasions when you're able to buy below the asking price and it values up at or close to the asking price. So let's just say you bought a dilapidated property from a seller that didn't want to hang around for months and months and months, just wanted to get the deal done, and you could buy it, let's say 20,000 below the asking price, whatever that might be. So a market value bridger would use that £20,000 discount and say, we'll count that as part of your deposit. If your deposit would have normally been 40,000, but that 20,000 discount to asking price was factored in, this means instead of £40,000 deposit needed, it's only £20,000. So that's a market value bridge. Lend on lower of the asking price or value. When you buy below the asking price, that reduces your deposit. It's quite an innovative product. And we broke a number of deals using a market value bridge. Refurb bridge. How is this different? Well, unlike either the purchase bridge or the market value bridge, a refurb bridge lends you the refurb money as well as lending you towards the purchase. Now, refurb bridge product lends 100% of the refurb cost. You put down your deposit, they'll lend you typically 70 to 75% of the purchase price, but they'll lend you 100% of the refurb cost too. What's good about that? Well, you need less cash to do a deal. Now, how do they lend you this refurb money? Well, they don't give you 100% of the refurb money day one. For one thing, you don't need it. Say, to do the refurb, you don't need it all there on day one because you can't spend it. So the fact that they drip feed it out to you in tranches is actually quite helpful. It's actually cost effective too because you don't start paying interest until each tranche is released. Now, a typical refurb will be funded in stages in arrears. Let's just say it was a 45,000 refurb. You probably get 3 tranches of 15,000. You kick off the refurb with your own cash, spend that first phase of 15,000, out comes the valuer, checks round for your work, signs it off as good quality. The first 15,000 tranche is put in your bank account. Now you crack on with the second phase of the refurb using that 15,000. When that's spent, back comes the valuer, checks your work, signs it off, you get your second 15,000 tranche. That allows you to do phase 3 of the refurb, and with the refurb fully finished and the property looking its best, ready for sale or refinance, back comes the valuer for a third time, checks around for your work, signs it off, you get your last tranche of 15,000. And that's how a refurb finance works. Still a bit of a niche product in the bridging world. Relatively few bridgers would do a refurb bridge, but since it was launched in recent years, we found it to be very popular. What's next? A done-up value bridge. Now this is even more niche because this only works with delayed completion. And again, only a handful of bridgers really are going to be doing this product. This niche bridging product, the done-up value bridge, works when you exchange contracts, and unusually you negotiate with the seller to get access to the property before you complete. So you get the keys when you exchange contracts, you get their permission to do the work, and you delay the completion long enough to complete the work. So whereas in a normal transaction, you'd exchange contracts, complete 4 weeks, and then do your refurb, this works in a counterintuitive way. You exchange contracts, get the keys on exchange, get an agreed extension in excess of 4 weeks, however long you need to do the refurb, 6, 8, 10, possibly even 12 weeks, and you complete when the refurb's done. What's different about the done-up value bridge is this specific bridger doesn't get it valued until you tell us you've completed the work. So when you've got a fully refurbed property, the valuation is booked, out comes the valuer with the instruction to ignore whatever the purchase price is and just value what is currently there, which of course is a freshly refurbed property. On my advanced training course, the Ninja Investor Program, this has got its own module. It's called the 100% refurb strategy. So called because when you borrow against the done-up value of the property, you invariably borrow at least 100% of the purchase price, in some cases more. So that's the done-up value bridge. Lastly, we have the Cross-Collateral Bridge. This works differently to the other 4, but it can work in conjunction with any of the other 4 because this doesn't relate to the property you're buying as the other 4 do, but a property you already own. Ideally, it's a property that you own with no mortgage, but it could be a property you own with a low mortgage. The key to it is that you own a property with a big chunk of equity, at least, if not 100% of the equity is yours. Now, what's different about cross-collateral bridging is the bridger allows you to borrow against a property you already own to effectively give you cash to a property you want to buy. Depending on the comparable values, it could be that borrowing on the property you own gives you enough cash to go and buy a property without further borrowing. More commonly, however, it negates the need to put a cash deposit down to buy a new property. The most common use of a cross-collateral bridge is one bridging loan with charges on 2 properties, the one you already own and the one you want to buy. It's commonly used where people have got a lot of equity in a property but maybe can't get a mortgage or can't get a big enough mortgage because either their personal or rental income is not big enough on the property they already own. On occasions, we've done cross-collateral bridging where needed against more than one property you already own, against more than one property that you already own, to allow you to get into a bigger deal. Cross-collateral is different because it can be used as well as in conjunction with either a purchase bridge, market value bridge, a refurb bridge, or a done-up value bridge. So if you thought bridging was bridging, there was only one type of bridging and bridging all worked the same way, now you know there's not. There's actually 5 different ways to make bridging work. If you found that useful, hey, tune in next week. I'll be back with another property finance video, same day next week. Before you go, hang about, just got something else I want to show you. If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know
every Monday morning at 8:30, I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.